She went from attending glitzy events with Melania and Donald Trump to being detained by ICE for 3 months and then deported back to Brazil. But according to her account and reporting from multiple outlets, the story behind her detention may not be as straightforward as immigration paperwork. Because her claims are now circulating online alongside allegations involving Melania Trump and a wider set of disputed narratives about who knew who and when. This is It's Not Satire, untangling threads from the deep and complex stories. But before we begin, subscribe, because this one is far from over. Amanda Ungaro is a former model and former UN-affiliated diplomat who spent years moving through elite social circles in the United States. According to reporting, her life included modeling work across multiple countries, diplomatic adjacent roles representing small Caribbean nations, and long-term proximity to high society political networks. She is also linked, through her own public statements, to a flight on Jeffrey Epstein's private plane in 2002. But the part of her story now drawing attention is what happened decades later. In 2024, Ungaro says her life in the United States collapsed. She claims she was arrested in connection with fraud allegations tied to a cosmetic clinic case.
The man on your screen right there is accused of performing all sorts of cosmetic surgeries in South Florida without a license. Jael de Arujo was arrested more than a year ago after police were tipped off about an unlicensed medical office in Aventura. They say he performed procedures such as butt injections and liposuction. The tip that came indicated he's a doctor in Brazil, but not licensed here in the United States. Police also arrested a co-defendant, Amanda Ungaro. Charges in this case include organized fraud and grand theft.
She and her husband deny the charges. What followed, according to her account, she was detained by immigration authorities, held for approximately 3 months, and moved through multiple detention facilities before deportation. She has described the conditions in detention as extremely harsh, including overcrowding and lack of medical care. Eventually, she was deported to Brazil. And this is where the story becomes more controversial. According to reporting referenced by the New York Times, Ungaro alleges that her former partner, businessman Paolo Zampoli, played a role in what happened next. Zampoli, a longtime figure in New York social and political circles, has been publicly associated with introducing Melania Trump to Donald Trump in earlier years. Ungaro alleges that, during a custody dispute over their son, Zampoli contacted a senior official within U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement with the goal of ensuring she remained detained and was ultimately deported. The reporting states that ICE allegedly complied with the request. However, Zampoli has denied any wrongdoing and disputes the characterization of events. Ungaro, meanwhile, says her deportation prevented her from properly defending herself in the custody case. This is the central claim shaping her narrative, that her detention was not just a legal outcome, but part of a broader personal and custody conflict. She frames it as a targeted legal escalation tied to a bitter separation and a fight over parental custody. And regardless of how each side interprets it, this is the version of events she has consistently put forward in interviews and public statements. Adding another layer, Ungaro has also publicly stated that in 2002, she was on a private flight associated with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Quando eu cheguei no avião, tinha mais ou menos quase 30 meninas no avião. Aí eu achei uma coisa muito estranha. As meninas eram mais parecidas com meninas estudantes do que modelos. Bem novinhas, mais ou menos entre 15 e 16 anos, 14. Quando a gente, Aí ele falou assim, não se preocupa, deixa eu te apresentar o Jeffrey Epstein.
She has said she was very young at the time, she had limited interaction with Epstein and Maxwell, and that the trip was arranged through her modeling network. There is no allegation in her account that connects us directly to her later legal or immigration issues, but online, these elements often get merged together. This is where the narrative begins to widen, because Ungaro also claims she moved in overlapping social circles with figures connected to Donald Trump's wider network, including events documented in photos shared by associates like Zampoli. That brings us to Melania Trump. In April 2026, Melania issued a rare public statement denying any meaningful relationship with Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell and rejecting suggestions of wrongdoing.
To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell. Epstein did not introduce me to Donald Trump. I met my husband by chance at a New York City party in 1998. I have never been legally accused or convinced of a crime in connection with Epstein's sex trafficking, abuse of minors, and other repulsive behavior.
Shortly after, Ungaro posted a series of online statements directed at Melania, later deleted, claiming a long-term familiarity and alleging personal grievances. Those posts included claims of a 20-year acquaintance, accusations of knowledge of her detention, and threats to expose further information. No independent evidence has verified those claims. So when you strip everything back, there are three separate layers: a deportation and custody dispute narrative, a set of unverified online allegations, a public political figure issuing a denial. What connects them is not confirmed evidence, but the way the internet is interpreting overlap in social history and timing. And as those connections are being debated online, speculation is already building about a possible interview, potentially even with a network like CNN. This isn't a confirmed scandal. It's a collision of a personal legal conflict, historical social connections, and a modern online speculation. And once those elements combine, they rarely stay separate. They become a story the internet finishes for itself. Subscribe to stay with this one, because if anything real comes out of it, we'll be breaking it down here.